The first impact of COVID-19 on SME's business is the effects to physical store and customer. As we all already know, physical store is one of the traditional shopping channels where consumers need to visit physical stores in person to do their shopping activities. The same goes for physical customer, where the person itself visits the store to buy some products or use the services offered in the store, such as a salon or a car wash. Basically, a physical store needs physical customers to keep their business going, and physical customers need physical store for them to buy stuff physical and instant. Most people want their product early, so they went to physical store themselves and does not have to wait for 3 to 4 days for online store to ship their orders. Also, physical stores such as restaurants are needed to some people who are busy and does not have their own time to cook their own food. So, without the physical store, customers will have a hard time also. However, here I'm going to share the impacts toward the business, especially for entrepreneurs who own physical store. These days, COVID-19 really gives big and great impacts towards many people all across the world, and it is a greatest nightmare for entrepreneurs with physical store. Try to imagine opening a store but no customers are coming because they are staying home and following the SOPs. What should a store owner do when there is no customer? How would they gain their income if there is no one came? As we are talking about SME's business, this even gives a greater impact towards them. Their physical customer that came to their store is their only source of income for them to live through the month, week, or even day. As for people who handles a restaurant, food stall, or even cafe, they will have an issue with their food supplies. Food supplies that they keep in their store won't last long, so they need to use it before it getting spoiled. When there is no customer came to their store, they cannot do anything but watching the food supplies getting spoiled as days goes by. How about for someone who do services such as driving taxi, car washing, or even a barber, wants to make a living if most of their customers stuck at their home because of this pandemic? Taxi driver cannot even bring any passengers because people are restricted from going outside. For people who owns a car wash, they're going to have less customer day by day because the amount of people who are driving outside are decreasing. As for people who owns a salon or a barber shop, they cannot even operate during this pandemic because they need to do close contact with their customer, which is forbidden during this pandemic. All of these issues cause havoc towards all the people, especially among entrepreneurs. Nevertheless, as an entrepreneur, they cannot easily give up and do nothing, especially during this pandemic, or they will end up with bankruptcy. To avoid those things from happening, entrepreneurs should take one step ahead and be more innovative to make sure this pandemic will not affect their source of income. For services like barbershop, salon, or small convenience store, they can still operate their store. However, they need to follow the SOPs given by the government. In an instance, they can limit amount of people that can enter into one premise and make sure the customer also follow the SOPs such as wearing their face masks, use hand sanitizer before walking into the premise, check their temperature using the device provided, and write down their names and details or scan the QR code given. By following these safety guides, you should worry less about the COVID-19 virus as you already take the safety precautions. Also, the customer nearby will not feel afraid to come to use their services or buying stuff from their store if we follow the SOPs properly. The amount of customers might not as much as before the pandemic, but that's the risk of being an entrepreneur. How about for people who owns a restaurant, food stalls or cafe? It is basically the same as I explained before, where the owner and customers should follow the SOPs fully and limits per person for each table. Moreover, they also can open order for only takeaway foods and beverages. This way, it will be safer for both parties. Next, restaurant owner can collaborate with taxi or Grab driver to make the delivery food for their customers. For example, people order food from a restaurant and they ask to deliver it to their house. So, taxi driver can do the delivery services instead, so both parties will not lose their jobs and source of incomes.